All right, let me get the screen sharing started. And all right, are you able to see my screen? You should be seeing a little bit of Canva here. I got some more chat. Let's see. Yep. Got the screen. Okay. So I want to get started. I want to be respectful of everybody's time today. Make sure I got my chat, my participants. All right, where'd you go, chat? Open up chat. Okay. So what I want to do, I want to talk about. I think what we posted in the school community was like how to use and show you how to we use an AI tool for having conversations as a direct message in. I think we said LinkedIn. What I'm going to show you really is better than that, is more important than that, like the whole framework behind it. And it's what I call the four-step framework to book calls with investors. Now, this can be on LinkedIn, it can be through WhatsApp, it can be through Instagram, it can be through Facebook. It can even be in like through text message. Heck, even a one-on-one conversation. The idea here is there is a specific framework that you follow with someone that allows you to have a much better conversation, and it's piques curiosity, it's non-confrontational, it's you're kind of almost getting them to ask for you to show them how to have a conversation. And I remember when I first started reaching out to people to have conversations, to have those potential investor conversations, and I was so nervous. And I remember thinking to myself, I do not want to come across as someone who sounds like salesy. Like that was probably my biggest fear. Is like, I don't want to come across as like a used car salesman. I hated that idea. And so I had to get over that mindset, which is really I'm helping people out, which I was able to get over that. But then it's like, well, how do you have that conversation? How do you even approach someone and be like, "Hey, you want to invest?" Like, what do you do? How do you have that conversation? So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to share with you the framework that I used, that I use. We use it all day, every day. We get calls booked every week following this exact framework. So, quick show of hands in the chat. How many of you, can just put scared or nervous? How many of you are scared or nervous to like reach out to somebody because you don't know what to say, or you feel that you're going to say something wrong, or you don't want to sound salesy? So can I see like scared, nervous? Like, let me see in the chat. Like, how do you guys feel about this idea of reaching out to someone and having this conversation? Maybe they're going to reject you. Maybe they're going to be like, oh my gosh, Steven's such a like, salesy guy. Like this is driving me crazy. So I'm gonna show you the right way and the wrong way, okay? But first, let's start with the framework. So the way I'm gonna do this, hopefully this works, and I'm doing it real time. Let's search for Square. All right. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to draw a nice visual, and hopefully this hits home for you. So what we want to do is the very first thing we want to do is we want to understand where somebody is currently at. Like, what is their current situation? And so let's see, current situation. I'm going to draw this out so you guys can see it. Let me make this a little bit bigger, like 18 point. And all right. So what is our current situation? When you're having a conversation with somebody, you don't start out by, "Hey, I've got a deal. Would you like to invest?" You have to learn to meet somebody where they're at first. You need to discover, are they even interested in potentially investing? So think of this kind of like the customer journey that we were talking about last week, and you're asking questions. And so if you've ever thought about, or if you are you familiar with Stephen Covey, he has authored a couple books, The Seven Habits of Highly Effective People, Seven Habits of Highly Effective Leaders. There's this idea there. I think it's steps 5 and 6, which I think is seek first to understand and then to be understood. So the idea here is when you're having a conversation is to actually start by asking questions, and it really is to understand their current situation. So a couple of examples would be, you want to find out, have they ever invested in a deal before? Have they ever invested outside of the stock market? Have they ever done single family real estate? Have they ever done Airbnb? Like, what have they done? Have they done other apartment investing? So, the first thing you have to do is you have to understand their current situation. Where is somebody at? Have they only ever invested in the stock market, some type of alternative, something on their own? Like, that's really a really good, great way to start. So, the next thing we want to do is we want to figure out where they're trying to go. Like, what is their goal in life? So, for this is going to be what is their desired outcome, or maybe it's you as their goals. Okay, what is their goal? Like, what is it they're trying to accomplish? So for this, I'm going to give it a green color. So current state blue, future state green. You guys with me? Um, so if we've got this, what is their desired outcome? So this is where we start to think like maybe we need to understand, do they want to retire sooner? Do they need to catch up in retirement? Do they want to pay less in taxes? Do they want more cash flow? Like what is that? Okay. And the only way we get that is by asking honest questions. We have to have a conversation. So the pattern here is you're asking questions, open-ended questions to lead someone down a path. So you start with what is their current situation? What is their desired outcome or their goals? And then from there, what you do is you have to understand maybe there's some obstacles that are in their way that are keeping them from getting there. So we want to understand, I'm going to put this in a nice bright red color. What are their obstacles? What are the roadblocks that are keeping them? They're here. They don't want to be there anymore. They want to be over here. What are the roadblocks? What are the obstacles that are getting in their way? And that's honestly, it's as simple as once you ask questions and you understand their current situation, and then you ask questions and understand their desired outcome, asking them like, what's what's your biggest frustration? What's your biggest obstacle? What's your biggest pain point? That doesn't come across weird at all. It becomes a very natural part of the conversation. So this is step one. This is step two. This is step three. You've got to understand the obstacles. And where you come in, step four, the fourth step of the framework is, let's change the color here. You come in as the guide. Okay. So you're like, you know what? I totally understand your situation. And how can I help you get from where you're at to where you want to be? I can help you overcome your obstacles. So you can't offer this part right here. You just really you can't do it. And so let's just call this the solution. Okay. The problem that most people have when they try to have these conversations is they jump straight to the solution part of the conversation. And when you do that, you really put people off. They're like, you haven't taken the time to get to know me at all. Think of it like dating, okay? You don't first meet somebody and then ask them to go up to the room. Hey, would you like to go back to my room? That doesn't really make sense, okay? That's really what you're doing if you're like just go straight for the solution. So maybe you ask for coffee to start with. Like, hey, you start something like you just easy, right? Like maybe you want to go get some coffee sometime. Then maybe you're working up, maybe you want to go get some lunch. Then maybe you want to go and get dinner. But you don't go straight for the kill shot right at the beginning, okay? So your four-step framework is understand their current situation, start to understand what their desired outcome is, what are their goals, and then you got to understand like what are the obstacles keeping them from getting there. And then that is where you come in and you can say, yeah, you know what, I totally get that. I've been where you're at, I can relate with what you're saying, and if you're open to it, You've always got to ask for permission. Okay. If you're open to it, I can show you what that would look like. I can show you some ways you could invest outside of the stock market. I can show you how you could pay less in taxes on the money you have invested. Would you be interested in that? And when you learn to have a conversation this way, this is again, so I'm telling you the way we told you was do it on LinkedIn. Well, it's because we use LinkedIn a lot, but you can do this on any social media platform. But the reality of it is this is the framework for the conversation you're having. Think of this as a networking event. Think of this as anybody that you're prospecting to turn into a potential investor. These are the four steps right here. So it is one, two, three, four. Let me see if I can get some numbers here and put them on so you can visualize it better. Numbers. That's a big old number. All right, one. Let's get two out here. Drop the two here. Okay, number two. Number three. And number four. These are your steps. That's it. Okay. It doesn't have to be complicated. These are your four steps. First one, understand the current situation. Second, understand what their desired outcome is or their goals. Third one is what are the obstacles that are keeping them from achieving their goals? And number four is how can you provide a solution to help them out? Okay. Simple, right? So before I go on, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna actually show you. I'm gonna walk you through like a conversation. I'm going to show you that I'm going to break it down for you what a conversation might look like. So before I move on from that, any questions you guys have? Checking the chat over here. Nope, nope, nope. All right, cool. So let me now show you an example of what that would look like. Okay, so this handout we're going to make available to you. So in the school community, we'll do a post and we'll make this available to you. This is also how you're going to get access to the replay. So once the replay is available, you'll have an option to click here. And bonus, like I told you, we're going to give you a custom GPT that actually is pretty smart and knows how to do this for you and going to help you out. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to walk you through the wrong way and I'm going to walk you through the right way. Okay. And I've literally pulled conversations that we've had in the past and used real examples here of what this could look like for you. Okay. So again, guys, I want this to be useful. I want this to be valuable. The best thing you can do is ask questions if you got them. So put those in the chat. I'll be watching and I will make sure to answer those questions. All right. So this is so in the exercise, I'm going to teach you how to interact with potential leads on social media or face to face, wherever you're at, and turn them into clients. Clients are passive investors. Now, I can tell you, I just pulled this from a real conversation of somebody reaching out to me. And so, how many of you, really quick, how many of you have LinkedIn? Can I see in the chat? How many of you have LinkedIn as a social media tool? No and yes. All right. Well, maybe you had this. Do you have so this is the Shelby. Shelby, do you use Instagram, Facebook, or some type of social media? Only have Facebook. Okay. Well, maybe somebody's reached out to you on Facebook like this. But here's the thing. If you're not using social media for conversations, then you're missing out on opportunities to get potential investors because I promise you they're out there. Okay. I've got a call scheduled with one tomorrow. So here's what happened. Here's what you don't want to do. Okay. So I got this message. This is almost verbatim. Um, okay. This is almost verbatim of a message I got just the other day. Hi, Stephen. My name is Mark. I protected the name of this company. I'm with a company. We help accredited investors add direct cash flow to their portfolios as a strong inflation hedge. That's Mark's words, not mine. That's Mark's words. Here's a link to my calendar. Please schedule some time with me before my calendar is full. Do you think I replied back to Mark and I booked a call with him? No, I didn't. That's crazy. Um, that I'm surprised people do that, but they do. And here's the thing is I get these messages all the time. I don't know this person at all. I have no relationship with them. And that's just a connection request. Like, it's a connection request with that like at the beginning. Like I'm like, what is going on here? So I'm going to give you another example. And I don't want to just, this is a crazy example, but I like to do this because I think it burns the visual into your head. So here's another example of what you don't want to do. So imagine you walk up to a complete stranger on a street corner. You're standing on the street corner and you're like, hey, my name's Steven. I see you're wearing shoes. I sell socks and I have the perfect socks for you. In fact, I got some right here. Would you like to buy some right now? Like, isn't that the craziest conversation you've ever heard? Is that any different than what Mark did to me? Hey, I see you're a person and you probably want to invest. I have an investment. Would you like to invest right now? Like, Mark, I don't know you, bro. That's kind of creepy. That's what you're doing. So what I'm telling you is don't be creepy. That's that you don't want to come across as creepy. Now, that's in any conversation. You don't want people looking at you like you're weird, bro. Like, what are you doing? Okay. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take that same concept, the same framework, and I'm going to put it into like a real scenario so you can see exactly what that would look like. All right. So we got the four parts here. I'm going to present a tiny bit different, but you're going to see the flow here. So the first thing is small chat and understanding where they are in their journey. So think of it like you're having a conversation. I think the best way to think of it is almost think of it like you're at a networking event, okay? And you just connecting with somebody and you're just trying to make some type of connection with them, learn a little bit more about that person. And the way we do that is by asking questions. And so I got it right here. Think of it like you just met someone for the first time at an event. Your opening message might look something like this. And so I said, "Hey, Sarah, I noticed your post in the investing for the future group. This could be anything, right? I saw you're interested in ways to diversify outside of the stock market. How long have you been in the group for? Do you see the difference there? Like right out of the bat, like I'm not coming across creepy. I'm like just trying to make a connection with somebody. That's really all you're doing. So the way to like approach this is just start the conversation. That's all you're trying to do, start the conversation. So she replies back. She's like, "Hey, Steven, thanks for reaching out. I've been thinking about it for a few months now. I'd love to have something a bit more stable for the long term. How about you?" Now, because we're like in like some common ground, I'm just starting the conversation. The door is open. She hasn't said like, "Hey, like, don't be weird." Like the door is open. We can have this conversation. So I'm just starting to like understand like where are you at and having a normal conversation. So I might say something back like, "I totally understand. I got into alternative investments years ago for the same reason. It's been quite a journey. Have you had any particular investments catch your eye?" Again, I'm trying to understand that first part, like, where are you at right now? And then she's going to reply back and share some of that with me. Once we've started that conversation and I'm starting to understand like more about where she's at, then I can move into like, what are your goals? Like, what are your objectives? Like, so I understand kind of why you're here, but like, what are your goals? So this is where you like, again figure out what their goals and obstacles are. So you'll see we all have struggles, all of us. The reason why people do passive investing is because they've got some struggle, they've got some pain point. And we join a lot of these groups or we're on social media because we're looking to solve these problems. And what you're trying to do is uncover the problem they're trying to solve. Okay. And you do this by just having conversations, establishing trust, making a connection. So now I'm going to reply back something like this. Sounds like you've done some great research. What's been the hardest part in finding the right investment for you so far? Okay. And you can when you're having these conversations, it doesn't have to follow exactly a like step one, step two, step three, step four. You'll think of it like a natural conversation, okay? But what I'm doing is I'm starting to now like I need like what is your roadblock here? Like what's going on? So now she's going to give me some more details, and she's like, honestly, it's just the risk. I want my money to grow, but I don't want to be super hands on. I've looked at some options but I don't feel like I know enough to feel secure. She's given me some golden nuggets right here. And I think if you have these conversations, if you really have a conversation and you ask questions, I'm not asking yes or no questions. I'm asking open-ended questions that need a response. Not like, hey, have you ever considered investing? Yes or no. Like, what types of investments have you considered outside of the stock market? That is a different type of a question. So we move on, and I say, hey, that makes a lot of sense. Passive investing is ideal for people like us who want to grow wealth without the day-to-day hassle. Have you explored real estate or specifically apartments? So the point here is like we're now having a real conversation. And what's nice about this is actually on social media, when you're having these conversations, you're not like you actually have a little bit of time to reply, and they might reply back in a day or two or a week, okay? And you're gonna follow up. I recommend you follow up as soon as you can, but you don't have to like immediately give the response. So you can think about it, you can word it carefully. But the point is, you're having a conversation, and it might be three, four, five, six conversations, messages back and forth, and that's okay because we're humans and socially that's what we're looking for. So now we move on to the next part. And this is where we acknowledge the gap and ask permission to share. All right. I mentioned this before. Like you're always going to ask permission. Do that because nobody likes to be sold to. That's the reality. Nobody likes to be sold to, but people do like to make smart investment decisions. So you're not selling anything. You're presenting an opportunity if somebody's interested in it. Okay. And if you do it right, you'll get people who say yes. Okay. So now we're ready to move on to step three. This is where you acknowledge the gap, ask permission to share. And if you have a solution to this person's problem, this is where the sales process starts. And yes, I'm calling it sales because it is marketing and it's sales. Okay. Um, the other thing I said here was, if you have a solution to this person's problem, this is where the sales process starts. If you need to be honest with yourself, not everybody's going to be interested in investing in these deals, and that's okay. And if somebody's not, like, cool, not a problem. So I've had multiple conversations where I just tell somebody like, hey, I can't help you. Like, I'm not a good fit for you. You're further along down the path. Like you've got $1 billion, whatever it is. Okay. Like I am very comfortable at this point saying, you know what? I've really enjoyed meeting you. I'm going to be real honest. Like, I don't, based on what you shared with me, I don't think I can help you. And that might be somebody who just doesn't have any money, somebody that's got too much debt, somebody who's already with another GP and all their money's deployed. Like that's a little bit different conversation, but there are people who are out there, they're just not a good fit, and that's okay. All right. But in this scenario, let's assume that everything's good. So I messaged her back and I'm like, hey, I can relate to feeling uncertain when I started. I felt the same way until I discovered apartment syndications. After a lot of guidance, I realized how powerful passive investing could be. It's allowed me to achieve stable returns without sacrificing my time. If you're interested, I'd be happy to share what I've learned. That's it. Okay. So you don't go for the kill, right? You don't ask them back to your room when you're having your first coffee with them. You're like, hey, if you're interested, maybe we can, chat a little bit more. That's it. That's really all you're doing. Okay. So she might reply back and say something like, yeah, that'd be great. Sounds like you've had some real success. After we've established that, right, we've gone through step one, we've gone through step two, now we're at step three, and we're working on step four, is what we're working on. Now we get to this part right here, and that's state we are an expert at, and offer permission to meet for a one-on-one. So she gives me permission to share what I do. I share a little bit about what I do. And this is where, if you have a lead magnet, this is where a lead magnet would be very, very useful in the conversation. You know what? Why don't I just share this lead magnet with you? And real quick, while we're doing this, lead magnets, I think we've talked about this a little bit in our conversations, but how many of you know what a lead magnet is? And if you don't, that's fine. I just want to get some feedback from you. Yes, I know what a lead magnet is. No, I don't know what a lead magnet is. And where I'm going with this is, if you guys are also interested, not really. Okay, I appreciate it. Um, where I'm going with this is we could also do another training and offer you another custom GPT if you're interested. Another training where I just break down what a lead magnet is and how we use them to get new leads. And I can even give you a resource to help you brainstorm and create lead magnets. Would that be cool? You guys interested in that? I'll show you. Basically, so a lead magnet is um so a lead magnet is something that you offer of value. And generally it's like a one or two page PDF, maybe it's a checklist, maybe it's a guide, something where you're saying, hey, here, I've got this. Do you mind sharing your email with me and name? Or like I'll give this to you, watch this before a call, something like that. So it's just something. A lead magnet is you can have it, you can offer to somebody, and it starts to begin that nurturing process, because the idea is we need to get new leads. So that's why we're doing the prospecting here in social media or going to networking events. Now, how do we like rise above everybody else? Well, we need to start leading with value, and we do that by having a lead magnet. So this would be a really good opportunity to be like, hey, if you've never heard about passive investing in apartments before, I've got this like PDF I can give you. I've got this little video I can give you. Would you be interested in helping you just learn a little bit? Huge, huge. Okay. Again, you're asking for permission, giving them something that's got some value. It's going to help them make a decision and get them to move forward. So, um, Shelby, basically, it brings more interest into what you've already looked at and gives them value. Yes, you nailed it. That's exactly what you're doing there. It's like you're giving them little wins along the way to educate them and build trust and move them through your pipeline, so to speak. All right. So, I'm talking here with her and she's like, yeah, that would be great. So, I say, hey, generally I work with, whoever your avatar is. I work with busy professionals who want to diversify out of the stock market and grow their wealth passively. Specialize in helping people invest in apartment deals without having to manage them. And actually, the call I'm having tomorrow is exactly this. Someone has some single family homes. They don't like being a landlord and they're interested in learning how to invest in apartments. And what was our lead magnet? It was a YouTube video. That's it. Okay. So like what I'm showing you is exactly what we do and exactly how we get phone calls booked. This is the exact process we use. And the tool I'm going to share with you is like the exact tool that we use. Okay. The custom GPT. So then I'm like, hey, this is what we do. If you're open to it, you can set up a call, discuss how it might work for you and what it looks like as a passive investor. How's that sound? And if they're open to it, if you've done your job right, they're like, yeah. Sometimes they say no. And you're like, all right, cool. Well, I'm still going to leave you with this free resource. So lead magnets are good to move people forward and good to leave for people so they can kind of like, you know what? At some point, maybe this would be right for me. Um, She's like, "Yep, that would be cool." So now I want you to pay attention to this, okay? This is important here when you're getting calls set up. So if you're multitasking, if you're doing something else, come back to me really quick. And I was just giving someone in my program this exact advice yesterday. They're trying to get a call set up, and it's not really working because they left it open ended. Here's what you want to do when you're trying to get a call set up. This is the best way I've ever found to do this. Here's what you do. I'm going to read this and I'm going to explain it. I typically only have a few openings each month to talk. I can walk you through some past examples, share potential returns, and answer any questions you have. This is the important sentence right here. I have availability this Wednesday or Friday at 11 a.m. or 2 p.m. Pacific time. Would either of those times work for you? What you don't want to do is say, how does next week sound? Let me know what works best for you. What you do at that point is you put all of it back on them. They got to go look through their calendar and find that. And here's what, if you do that, most of the time you're going to get back a response like nothing, or let me check my calendar and get back to you. And you're like chasing that person trying to get a call set up. When you give them two times, now all they got to do is make a decision. Does that time work for me? Yes or no. They don't have to go and look at their whole calendar of what works best for them. It's like, does that time work for me? The reality of it is you don't really care if it's at 11 or 2. Like you're just trying to get the phone call. You'll be flexible. What you want is them to pick a time. So if they're like, nope, neither of those times work for me, but this one does, you're actually nailing down a very specific time. And maybe it sounds like not that big a deal, but that's actually a very, very, very important thing. And the person I was coaching yesterday, that was the same thing that, oh, we had this call set up a couple of weeks ago, but they had to cancel it. And I said, what have you done? And she said, well, I you know, ask them to let me know when they can meet again. And I said, okay, well, you just gave them all of the power. Like, how do you follow up on that? And I said, here's what I want you to do. Give them two specific times to try for next week. Okay. At that point, you're good. They're going to get back to you. You set up a Zoom call. And here's the thing, like I want you guys to understand this. I realize that this takes more effort than a simple copy and paste. This is not a copy paste, have a conversation, but what you're doing is you're connecting with that individual where they're at. You're asking engaging questions of them. You're understanding where they want to go. You're understanding their obstacles specifically. So that is a game changer. That is a differentiator between throwing shit out and hoping it sticks and actually making a connection and moving forward. Does that make sense, guys? Okay. Is this helpful? Helping you understand how you can have an effective conversation with someone anywhere, really? Okay. This is it's a very simple four-step framework, and you can visualize it in your head now, right? So we had the blue. Where are they at? Let me go back to it really quick so you can see it, right? Where are they at? Number one. Number two, what is their desired outcome? Where are they trying to be? I need to understand like what's getting in their way. And then that's the opportunity for me to say, you know what? I think I can probably solve this for you. If you're interested, I can show you what that looks like. That's it. It's only 4 steps. Okay. So here's what I want you to do. Here's your deliverables. Here's what I want you to do. Here's what I want you to do to be successful. You have a couple options here, but really what you want to do is you want to sit down and create your own scripts. And if you haven't done this exercise before, create a list of people that you can reach out to. Pick 10, 20, 30, 40 people. Go through your phone, go through your email, go through wherever you can get somebody's contact information. You're going to create a list. It's called your hit list. And I want you to try to reach out to those people, send them a message. Hey, how's it going? Haven't chatted in a while. What you been up to? Okay, that's it. Just start the conversation and then start following the framework. Okay, but come up with the script. Okay, once you become comfortable with it and you get better at it, this is if you had a VA or someone on your team, they can actually do this for you. Now, the call I had yesterday, my VA got that set up. The call I'm having tomorrow, my VA got that set up. Okay, my virtual assistant. So this is something you can do yourself, and when you're comfortable with it, you can have someone on your team come in and help you with that. Okay, so that is a great way to leverage your team and have these conversations and get these calls booked. Okay. Now, what I have for you is you'll see here to watch the full video. So if you're watching this live, obviously you're watching it live. You're not going to have the video. But what we have here is a custom GPT that's going to walk you through this. So give me just a second here, and I'm going to show you something real quick. Guess what we did? So if you guys haven't seen how to build a custom GPT, this is a little bit of behind the scenes. But what we did is we literally programmed in, and this is what we do: point A, point B, point C. So this is step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. That's what we did. That we specifically programmed it that way for you. So what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to bring this up and we're going to take a look at it. Okay. We're going to run some real conversations through. I've got my LinkedIn up on my other screen. We're going to run some real conversations through here. Okay. So before I do that, start throwing stuff in here, and it's going to break it down, these conversations, and help us do this, because why not leverage AI and technology to do this? Questions. I see a couple questions in the chat here. And if you got more, drop them in there, please. So we got here, Shelby says, does it also depend on what type of real estate you're investing in? The framework in and of itself, Shelby, the framework is the framework is the framework. Now, I don't know if I've shared this with you all before. I think I have. I don't, maybe you haven't heard this, but so the way I really learned a lot about capital raising is I learned sales and marketing not related to capital raising. Okay. So I actually took a step back because I just couldn't find the education I needed in the syndication space. I just could not find it. So what I did is I started learning more about marketing and sales. And it is like a universal, that 4-step framework that I showed you is like a universal marketing and sales. And the reason why it's effective is because marketing and sales is really based on psychology, and that's what we're leveraging here. So does the words change a little bit? Like, yeah, if you're talking about mobile home parks, if you're talking about self-storage, if you're talking about apartment complexes, yeah, that the wording changes there. But otherwise, the framework is the framework. Okay. And then you say, I say that because sometimes you have to build relationships before investments, and sometimes you can't even post on social media when dealing with some types of real estate. So let me clarify that. So that's the difference between a 506C and a 506B. Um, these, if it's a 506B, meaning it's accredited and sophisticated investors, you can't you cannot promote that deal publicly on social media. You can't run ads for it. You can't run an ad in the paper. Like, I don't know who does that anymore, but you can't you can't promote it if you're allowing non-accredited investors into the deal. What I'm showing you is not like actively moving people into a deal. What I love to do, like my whole mantra here is dig your well before you're thirsty, which is you're going to go meet people and you're going to have these conversations and you're going to get what I call a warm commitment. Someone who's like, you know what? I really like everything you've shown me. It makes a lot of sense. When you have your next deal, I'd be interested in investing $100,000. Okay. So, what I believe is priming the pump before you have a deal so that when you submit an offer on a deal, you know exactly how much capital you can raise. Because I can't tell you how many times someone reaches out to me and they're like, hey, I've got this deal under contract. I got $70,000 hard on it. I've used all my extensions. I can't raise capital. Well, did you know how much capital you could raise before you had the deal? No, I figured if I had the deal, the money would come. That's like the worst thing you can do. I spoke to somebody yesterday who's like, hey, we submitted an offer on a deal. They haven't accepted it yet. And I said, how much capital can you raise? He's like, I don't know. Well, why are you submitting an offer? So, so the answer here, Shelby, is what I'm showing you is how to dig your well before you're thirsty. Okay. Yes, to answer your question directly, if you're 506B, you can't publicly solicit. Okay. But you can have these conversations, and that's what you're trying to do here. So I got some more questions here. Is this the method you'd say on Facebook with someone you haven't talked to in 15 years? I feel like they'd be thinking, why is this guy messaging me? Something is up. Chris, yes. So that's like yes, it's true. But what you don't know is honestly where they're at. And they might be thinking like, wow, why is this? I haven't talked to this person in years. So what? What's the worst thing that happens? They tell you no. What you need to get out of your mind is that is the worst when happens is they tell you no. Okay. What you don't know is what other pain or struggle have they had. Maybe they're like, Chris is an answer to my prayers. Okay. Maybe you're the answer to their prayers, Chris, because they're like, man, I have been struggling so much. I've seen some of the stuff Chris has been posting. I've honestly, I haven't talked to the guy in 15 years. I don't even know what I'd say to this guy. So the answer is always no if you don't ask. So at least give yourself the opportunity to have them tell you no. That's the way I look at it. Okay. So I don't feel bad at all at offering people the opportunity. I'm going to give you another example here and then I'm going to move on. Um, I, my mom, for years, into the syndication space, and deal would come up, and my mom's like, nope, 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 nope. So a few months back, I had an opportunity to partner up on a self storage deal, and so sent a message to my mom and dad, and my mom calls me up like 5 minutes later, and she's like, hey, um, you know that I just sold a house, and so I've got some money, and you want some of my money probably, right, for this investment. And I was like, Mom, that's not the case at all. I said, I truly believe in what I'm doing. And I truly believe that I can have an impact in other people's lives. And it's my duty to share that with the people I care the most about. And you're one of those people. I said, if you come to the webinar or not, like that's fine. But I would feel bad if I didn't give you the opportunity. And she's like, all right, I'll go. Got through the webinar and she called me up. She's like, you know what? I think I'm going to invest. And they decided to invest $100,000. Okay. So you like and I have this conversation with my children all the time. My children are like, I don't want to go do this because what happens if this happens? Okay. Like I don't want to go play this game, this person's house because what might happen? And I have to tell them all the time, like, these are stories you're telling yourself that haven't happened yet. Okay. And you don't know, like the future is not written. So, Chris, a little bit of a long answer there, but the point is don't be afraid. Put yourself out there. And if you truly believe in what you're doing, let the chips fall where they may. Okay. Shelly, unfortunately, the program tells you to submit the offer and the money will come. They don't touch on this. Shelly, that's bullshit. I'm gonna call it out like it is. Shelly, it's bullshit. Okay. Um, I know that people believe that. I know that people push it. I wish it wouldn't. I can tell you, I've been in that situation where I got a deal, and fortunately, my partners were able to raise capital. I tell the story. I've got this box of business cards where I had a coach tell me, go to these networking events. There's other people there from the same program. Get their business cards, get a deal, do a webinar, send out an email, and it's going to rain money. Bullshit. Okay. Now, like, there's just so much that I wasn't taught. So, like, Shelly, here's the same advice I was giving somebody yesterday was do yourself a favor and do not sign that PSA and wire money until you've had a real good conversation with the partners you're working with. Can you raise the money for that deal? Okay. Because if you can't, that's your biggest problem. Okay. So here's another universal truth, guys, if you haven't thought about this before. Your single biggest limiting factor for you to achieve your financial goals. Okay. And I know we're talking about passive investors, but why are you doing this? Because you have your goals, you have your ambitions, you want to achieve your financial goals, you want your financial freedom, right? The single biggest limiting factor to you being able to buy all those apartment complexes you want that you've been promised in that program, like the single biggest limiting factor is your ability to fund those deals. There is no shortage of deals, even though it's a slow market. I get that. There are deals that are out there. I get deals sent to my inbox every single day. Deals are out there. The biggest limiting factor is your ability to raise capital. If you can figure out how to raise capital, all of the other problems will solve themselves. That I can promise you. Figure out how to raise capital. And if you can raise enough capital, you're going to get people knocking on your door, inviting you into deals. You won't even have to be underwriting deals because people are going to be like, you know what, Chris, that guy can raise some capital. Shelly, she can raise some capital. Shelby, man, she is on fire. You're going to be on speed dial. Okay. So, all right. Sorry for going down that path, but like, I just got to be real with you. Like, be real about can you raise money or not? Because if you can't, you might be losing a lot of money in the hopes that it's going to rain. Because if you have not taken the time to build your network in advance, you might as well just be throwing away your money because it's not going to happen. So I wish that wasn't the case, but that's just how it works. All right, so let's jump into this. We've got this GPT. It's going to do a lot of the work for you. So it's going to break down these conversations. It's going to give you short, direct responses, leading your prospects to a call. We always like to give you some good prompts here. So what I have on my other screen here is I've got some LinkedIn conversations. I'm just going to paste them in, and we're going to play around with this thing. Okay. So the first one we're going to do is this guy, Joe, that I met. I'm going to take this conversation. So I'll give you a little bit of backstory about Joe. I've actually met with Joe once. And what I know is that he's like, I am considering this. I've got some student loans and I'm trying to figure out if this would be a good opportunity for me because I've got student loans. Maybe it would help me offset that. I don't know. What do you think? So we've chatted. Then we were supposed to connect again. He just followed up with me, but I'm kind of stuck. Like, what are the next steps here? Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by boom. I'm going to hit this, analyze this, insert conversation, and it's going to say, well, but there's no conversation. Okay, get it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to paste it in here because it's telling me what it's going to do. I'm going to paste this conversation and it's going to analyze it. It's going to tell me like, this is what you should be doing. Point A, where are they now? Let me tell you about Joe's current situation. So he's got some options here. Boom, we understand that. Here's Joe's goals. He's got some of this information. What's his biggest obstacle? He's told us his biggest obstacle. How do I know that? Because we had a conversation with him, right? I didn't just assume he needed it. He's like, this is the biggest obstacle. So here's the next move. The goal here is not to push, okay? Validate her. ChatGPT got the gender wrong, but that's all right. Keep the door open. And so here's what we're gonna do. It even has a response for me. Hey Joe, thanks for being so open with me. And honestly, I completely respect that. Okay. So let's stay in touch. And that's fine. All right. So there's one angle to do it. All right. I'm gonna do another one here. Back up. Let's see if I can get this to refresh. And I got another conversation here, and this one is Wesley. So let's see where we're at with Wesley. It's gonna help me understand like where am I at and um what's the next step here, okay? So I'm gonna say this one, I'm gonna say, can you summarize this combo and suggest a reply? It's gonna say, let me have it. So let me pop this in. And I'm going to give you an example of what this would spit out. And the idea here is like, I know there's a lot to learn through all of this. And so if you can leverage the technology here to help you like guide the conversation to the next step and it's going to, follow a structured framework, like why not use it? It's just going to like figure things out. Like, where are you at right now? All right. So what this is telling me right now is we have not figured out, okay? We have not gotten far enough along to understand his point A, point B, and point C. It just says that right there. So Wesley hasn't shared his current situation beyond the Centene grind. Okay. Where do they want to go? He hinted at valuing financial freedom, but didn't state it clearly. All right. And he made a comment here. Money doesn't make money itself, though. So we really don't know. And it's going to give me a suggestion here. All right. And what it's doing is that like I'm just kind of copying and pasting. So it's actually telling me, it's giving me suggestions of like, here's what you could say to start to understand the next thing here. So here you go. Out of curiosity, when you think about financial freedom, what does it actually look like for you? More time. So what we're trying to do here is like we're trying to understand that goal. Like we really are trying to dig into it. Okay. And I got one more I'm going to share with you. And let's see this conversation with Tammy. Yeah, one more. See if I can back this up a little bit and refresh. And you can keep this as an open dialogue. I'm just giving you the quick examples here of just giving you some options. What should I say next? Book a call. And it's obviously going to say, well, I need you to paste some stuff here. I'm going to paste this conversation in here. And we're going to see what it gives me. Okay. What kind of guidance does it give me? It says, you figured out where they are, you figured out where they want to go, but we have not figured out what is the biggest obstacle right now. So we probably should ask that. And these are important. These are important because if you go too quickly, people are way more likely to shut down. So if you're not hitting this like these things here, you're moving too quickly. You're trying to like, hey, you want to go back to my room? You're trying to do that too quick. And I know it's a funny example, but it's just really like how we are as people. So here's the next move, right? Maybe send the video. And so that's like I said, that's what we use as a lead magnet. We got a nice video. Hey Tammy, here's a video I mentioned. It gives a simple breakdown of how passive apartment investing works and what made it click for me. Boom, got the link. When you get a chance, I'd love to know what part of building something outside of corporate has you most curious right now. And that's it, guys. Like, so you now have the framework to follow. I'm giving you a script and a guide to follow. Um, and I'm giving you a custom GPT that you can leverage and go run with it. Okay. So there's no reason why you can't now go start having those conversations. So I got a few minutes left. I'm gonna hang out here, and then I have a small little favor of you. This one's really easy. This gonna help me help you kind of a thing. But first, I want to see if I got any more questions in the chat before I jump over and ask for a little bit of help from you guys. Because I got something new I want to test out, and I would love to get some feedback from y'all and see if it's helpful. I always like giving you guys new stuff to play with. So what kind of questions you got? Is this helpful, guys? Is this like building on. You can see the progress from one week to the next, where we're helping you understand how to connect with these people, how to send stuff out, how to like engage with people. What I'm trying to do is get you less afraid to go have those conversations. Okay. So like I was telling Chris, the answer's always no if you don't ask. So I want you to be comfortable asking, right? Hey man, like, can we have a conversation? Can I share this with you? Would you like to learn more? Like, so what if somebody tells you no? I get told no all the time by my wife and my kids. No, I'm just joking. But I get told no all the time, guys. No big deal. All right, so I think we have another topic we can do, which is lead magnet. So um, I've got a training I was actually putting together on how to build lead magnets and a custom GPT. So that might be another good one for you. Give you kind of the pieces you need to move things through. So, all right, guys, I need AI agents to approach the prospects. Mitch, I got you, Mitch. I got you. Like, here it is. Okay. So when we get the replay ready, we're gonna post that in school. And then for those of you who are ready, we're gonna share this document with you. And it's gonna have a direct link to start using the AI tool. So real quick, what I'm hoping you guys can do for me here is I added. So what I want you to do is I want you to go out to this right here, raisegenius.ai. I want you to go out to the website, just type in raisegenius.ai in your browser, and I added a little chat widget right here. It's an AI chat widget. Okay. So what I want you to do is I need to test it. I need to make sure it's working properly. This would actually help me out a lot. If you guys can click on this and have a conversation with it, go play around with it, have a conversation with. I don't want you to break it, or be nice to it. It's a little AI agent, okay? But go have a conversation with it, because I need the feedback. I need you guys to make sure it's working, and it would help me out a lot because I can test it myself, but I only know what's here, and so I want to make sure it's a useful tool for you guys. So do me that favor, go to raisegenius.ai and click on this little chat widget right here, and just have a little conversation with it. Okay, be nice. Tell it you said hello, and give me some feedback if that's helpful for you. So we'll probably do a post for that as well in the school communities asking for a little bit of help. Go click on that little widget, have a conversation with it, and then come back and give us some feedback. All right. So thank you, Mitch. All right. So raisegenius.ai, go check it out. And like I said, be on the lookout for, let me stop the share really quick. Be on the lookout for, we're going to do a post. As soon as we get the replay available, we'll do a post. We will have the whole PDF available for you and the training. And if you get that PDF, you're going to have a link to the training and you have a link to the custom GPT. So you can start having these conversations. And I'm going to do one last check in the chat really quick. Any other questions? Any other questions? Nope. All right. Thank you again for being a great audience. I will be back next week. I will not be here on Thanksgiving Day. We're going to take the day off. We're going to eat some turkey and do some things like that. Hopefully you're doing the same, spending a little bit of time with family or friends. All right, y'all. I will talk to you in the community and have a great day. Bye.